Hello, and welcome to Cocktails with a Twist of History, your digital destination for all things cocktails. So, this is a double episode, and we are talking about the Florida cocktail scene, which was not as old as you might have thought. The first cocktail that we talked about was a cocktail called the Rum Runner, and that was from the 1970s, and you can see it's a little bit like a tiki kind of drink, but it is a really good cocktail. It's a rum-based cocktail. But the Florida Keys, which is where that one came from, had the upscale clientele, and that's why you had a lot more of the cocktails that came from there. But in the 1980s and the 1990s, Florida blossomed with the rise of the club culture and the tourism-driven nightlife. Miami had a lot of very nice clubs and attracted the stars. As one of the famous cocktails from the time was a cocktail called the Cosmopolitan, sometimes called the Cosmo. This was an older cocktail from the 1927 book called Cocktails Around the Town by Arthur Moss, but it was a very different cocktail. The Cosmopolitan that we think of today was created in 1985 by a person named Cheryl Cook, and this was at the Strand on Washington Avenue in South Beach in Miami. They used this new thing called Absolute Citron vodka. It was new at the time. It had a splash of triple sec, a dash of rose lime, and she says, quote, just enough cranberry juice to make it oh so pretty in pink. Yeah, so I have been talking way too long without a cocktail in my hand, so let's make a Cosmopolitan. Not one of my usual cocktails, but we're going to make it anyway. Now, this is going to need 2 ounces of a Citron vodka. Like I said, the original was the Absolute one. You don't have to use that. It needs a splash of triple sec. That is what they say. Very interesting. So we are going to put in a little bit of triple sec. There we go. And it is a small amount of Rose's lime juice. Rose's lime juice is one of those in the little container, and we're going to use a small amount of that. There we go. And a small amount of our cranberry juice. Here we go. Let's put the cranberry juice in. And now we are going to put in our ice. And it is a shaken cocktail. In those days, all the cocktails were shaken, or at least a lot of them. That was the era of the shaken cocktail, 80s and the 90s. Here we go. Let's put in our ice into our shaker, and we're going to put our cover on. Here we go. And hold it down. Almost had a little problem there. This does not need a lot of shaking. It really just needs a little bit of a mix and to become cold. And here we go. We are going to put it into a cocktail, into a martini glass, and you can see it is oh so pretty in pink. Here we go. And we can put a orange as a garnish. Here we go, and let's try. Very nice. The lemon comes out right away. The cranberry, not so much, but it is very good. The lemon, actually, because of the Rose's lime juice, also would intensify that lemon flavor. Not as much as like a lemon drop martini, which just has the vodka and the lemon and the sugar, but this is a really good cocktail. Very, very nice. I have to say, though, that this is the most imprecise cocktail that I've made on this show. The cocktail is sophisticated, yet sweeter alternative to the traditional martini. I think it was popular because it's lighter than a regular martini, yet it's served in a martini glass and has that elegance similar to the martini. The cocktail really has had its popularity spike with the show called Sex and the City. The show needed a cocktail that was hot for the time, and the Cosmopolitan was it. It started showing up in all the larger clubs and really took off. The later recipe was changed, and they took out the rose lime and they added just fresh lemon juice. It sounded more like a classic cocktail then. Well, like always, if you know other pieces of the story, we want to know it. You can put it in the comments, you can send it to us by email, or you can tell it to the bottle. We want to know. Also, please make sure to subscribe and to follow and to like and to send a link of the show to somebody else so that they can enjoy cocktails with a twist of history. Thank you.